Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a full budget overview for my paycheck on February 20th. Now I am a paycheck budgeter, which means that I budget my money every single time I am paid. I am paid on the 5th and the 20th, which means 2 budgets every single month. But I have some really big changes happening at the end of this month and into the future. I am quitting my full-time job to run my business full-time. So what does that exactly mean? It means huge things for me. So I will now be getting paid from my business one time a month on the last day of the month. That means that I have to get used to managing my money in shorter time frames. So because I was budgeting twice a month, I really only had about 2 weeks where I had to manage my cash in my cash envelopes and really be critical of my spending. But when I move to one time a month, I will be pulling cash out from my envelopes once a month, which means I have a larger time frame to make sure that I'm not depleting my cash quickly or going through it too fast. It's going to be a big change for me, and I'll be documenting that new pay schedule very, very soon. In fact, I'll be doing my first budget overview with my business income on February 28th. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the steps and process that I use to budget my money every single paycheck. Now, I use the budget by paycheck method, and it combines 3 different budgeting methods into one. It's the calendar method, the cash envelope method, and the paycheck method. So I'll be showing you literally every detail of my budget and my real numbers. So let's get started on my budget overview for my paycheck on February 20th.
I try sharing my story to remind leaders that there is a way out. That with hard work, dedication, determination, motivation, it's all about having a plan for your money. And that's what gives you the true control.
Holy crap, it just changed my life. You're like, oh man, Nico, it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes work, but no more credit card debt. So today we're going to be doing a full video overview for my budget that I just got done doing for my paycheck on February 20th. Now, as you can see, I have my cash envelopes ready to be stuffed. I went to the bank and pulled out cash for my envelopes. So let me kind of explain. I am using a new budget form, a new paycheck bill tracker that I just got done creating. It literally lists out a complete financial plan for my paychecks. So first, let me start with my calendar. I have a lot going on with my calendar. This is my budget calendar. It lists my paydays as well as my bills, holidays, and events. It literally tells me everything that I have to include in my paycheck. Now, I'm talking about the paycheck that I'm getting, that I got on February 20th, which is highlighted here in pink. Now, because I am moving into full-time self-employment income, I will be getting only 1 paycheck a month, and that's going to happen on the last day of the month every single month. Before, I was doing 2 paychecks a month on the 5th and the 20th. That will be changing for March. I'm getting my first self-employment income check on the 28th, and we'll be doing a budget overview at that time. So with my paycheck on the 20th, I am paying everything that you see highlighted in pink. Now, I am a paycheck budgeter, which means I choose which expenses I want to pay based on when I get my paycheck. So all of these pink ones, as well as if we flip to March, I am also paying these first ones in the beginning of March. These 4 bills right here. My rent, medical insurance, dental insurance, and I have a car wash subscription that I pay for. That's due on the 2nd. This is how I plan out my budget, using my budget calendar. I am doing the No Eating Out February challenge, and so far, and that just is no eating out for 20 days in the month of February. It's part of my 12 months, 12 savings challenges, and if you would like to participate in those challenges, I'll put a link to that article in the description of this video. But everything that you're seeing with a green check mark, no eating out. Red check marks, I ate out. And so I have 8 days in the month of February where I can eat out, and it does look like I'm going to be able to complete this challenge. So if we, and as you can see, here's me creating a budget for each paycheck. So here's my budget for my February 5th paycheck, which I have a video tutorial on my YouTube when I completed this. Now we're talking about my February 20th paycheck. So I have my income. For my paycheck on the 20th, I get my regular day job income, as well as income from my boyfriend, who pays me in cash for half the bills that I add to my last paycheck of the month. We do our finances separately, but we still split the expenses. This is how we handle it and how it's worked for us. I pay the bills, he just reimburses me for half the expenses, and I add that back to my income, and I use it as part of my budget for my last paycheck of the month. Here are the bills that I am paying for this paycheck. So the first thing you want to do in your budget is pay your bills online. And these are the bills that I'm paying online. Some of these I have on auto pay, like my dental insurance, as well as my car insurance and the gym. Life insurance comes out. The only bills I really pay manually on this paycheck are my Comcast, as well as my cushion. So my rent's $825. I live in a very old apartment. I chose to do that to save money. Life insurance is $9. Now, my AF savings, if you are familiar with my budget tutorials, AF savings used to be my vacation savings. I have changed my priority goals for my savings goals. I am now doing a house savings account to pay for my first house with cash. So now that's what AF savings means. I do $100 every single month. And if you flip to my February 5th paycheck, you'll see that I have it coming out on the 11th as well as the 25th. My gym, car wash, and here is my cushion. Now I do $40 every single paycheck for my cushion. That just is money that just sits in my bank account because I'm an all cash spender. So if I have to do an unexpected online shopping purchase, I have cash, or I have money sitting in my checking account. I don't have to worry about overdraft fees. And also it helps with bills that are higher than expected, especially like utility bills. So that's why I have my cushion. It's $40. I like to keep about $1,000 in my checking account at all times. And once it grows above $1,000, I use any excess money saved for my financial goals. And that's how I handle my cushion. After you pay your bills online, then you go to your cash envelopes. These are the cash envelopes that I have for this paycheck and the cash envelopes that I'm using. So I have gas, miscellaneous, beauty, food, house, and fun. Those are my categories for my cash envelopes. Now, if you're wondering, Miko, how do I know what categories or what limits I should put on those categories for my cash envelopes? It has to do with your past spending. So if you track your expenses or spending like I do, so I manually track all of my spending, you then become aware of where your money is actually going and what is a realistic amount for your real life for those categories. Now, I use the highlighter method, which is highlighting different categories for my spending, so each color represents a different category in my budget. And I'll put a link to that description of how I track my spending with a link in the description of this video. It's figuring out what you're spending your money on. So maybe in February you spent $500 on food. Maybe last month it was $400, so you would assign $450. You're gonna have to do a little bit of estimating, and you're gonna tweak as you go along. So for me, with this paycheck, I have $200 for groceries, which includes eating out. Fun is $50, gas is $75, beauty is $90, miscellaneous is $50, and household is $40. After you pull out cash for your cash envelopes, like I did here, the next thing I do, and to help me with my cash envelopes, I use a cash envelope breakdown that looks like this. So in order to stuff my cash envelopes, I need specific bill denominations, especially when I'm dealing with my sinking funds. And we'll get to my sinking funds in just a second. But essentially, it's a matter of writing out which envelopes you're pulling cash out for, how much cash you need for that envelope, And this breaks down what bills you need for those envelopes. So over the years, I've realized it's a psychological thing for me. It's a lot harder for me to spend bigger bills than it is smaller bills. It's a lot harder for me to hand someone a $100 bill than it is a $10 bill. So I start with pulling out the biggest bills first. I start at the right and I move my way to the left. So for groceries, I need $200. So it would be two $100 bills. Fun is $50. Gas is $75, where I'd pull out a $50, a $20, and a $5. I use a teller slip that looks like this, and I have it for this Paycheck's envelopes. I hand this to the teller, and she just gives me the bill denomination that I need. And I come home and I have exactly the bills that I need to stuff my envelopes. And that's how I handle figuring out what bill denominations I need, is my cash envelope breakdown. So with my sinking funds, I have prioritized my sinking funds. It's those holidays and events and other things that I found myself using my credit card in the past because I wasn't financially prepared with cash when those expenses came up. So it's 4th of July, my boyfriend's birthday, my son's birthday, Christmas, back to school, and car maintenance. Now with your sinking funds, I'll show you very quickly how I track my sinking funds. My sinking funds look like this. So I determine what expenses or things that come up in the future that I found myself being pressured to use my credit card because I didn't have the money available. So my whole budgeting method is set up to deter me from using credit cards. I like to be financially prepared with cash, and I've been doing it this way for years. So I got my sinking funds, how much I want to save for the entire year, and when I need that money by. Now, if you're working with holidays and events, you're going to have a due date. There is a time frame when you need that money, like Christmas. You're going to want that money probably by November to give yourself some time to plan and shop for Christmas. So for me, I have an $800 limit or goal for Christmas. I'm going to do $73 every single month. Now my monthly amounts, because I'm a paycheck budgeter, is split into two. I have 2 paychecks a month, so these amounts are split into 2, which is why you're probably seeing it a little bit smaller than what's on my savings goals tracker. Do you see how they're split in half here? And it will be different when I come up to my paycheck on February 28th because I'm going to be doing a monthly paycheck at that time where it will be the full amount of the sinking fund. With my sinking funds, once you know how much you want to save, when the due date is, and how much monthly that means you need to set aside or save to reach your goal, then you have your list of sinking funds. Now, I do have other sinking funds, like my car maintenance fund. I don't have an end goal for that. It's just throwing $20 every single paycheck into a car maintenance in case I need it. So that wouldn't be, I did not list that here. You could list it here if you wanted to. Here's how I track my sinking funds. So I have all of my goals written up here at the top. And every single month, so along here are the months, every single month, I write how much I add or take away from my sinking funds. So for February, I began with $100, but I used my Valentine's sinking fund envelope. I withdrew $100, which brought me back down to $0. Well, in March, I'm going to start with $0, but I'm going to start saving for that again for Valentine's Day of 2020. So as soon as you use your sinking funds envelope, start back saving again. And this will help you track that. I also like to know visually where I am in the progress of my sinking funds. And as you can see, Valentine's Day, I hit my goal, I used that money. And here are the rest of the sinking funds that I'm working on. I will be able to color in my first square for Christmas. I'll have $80, more than $80 set aside after I stuff my envelopes today. But this is kind of the steps that I use to do my sinking funds. So if we go back to my budget, here are my sinking funds. Now the way that this works is you take your income minus your bills. My bills add up to $1,825. I'm left with $619 left over. So then I have to ask myself, what am I going to do with that $619? I'm going to use it for my variable spending, my cash envelope. Now, your bills are considered fixed expenses. They're bills that you have to pay from month to month. Your envelopes and your variable spending, those are the expenses that kind of fluctuate from month to month. It's your gas, it's your food, it's your fun expenses. So all of my envelopes equal 505. If I subtract that from the income I have left over, I'm left with $114. And then you can ask yourself, okay, my bills are taken care of, my cash envelopes are taken care of. What do I do with the $114? For me, I don't have any debt. So I choose to put it towards my future, preparing for the future, which is my sinking funds. So here's all of my sinking funds equal $114, which leaves me $0 in my, when you add my income minus my expenses. Now with the zero-based budget, every dollar of income has a plan somewhere in your budget. That's called a zero-based budget. Every dollar is being used or spent, and that's why my cushion is so important. Because technically with the zero-based budget, you'll be withdrawing your checking account down to zero because every dollar has a plan, but not if you have a cushion. So if you're struggling with the zero-based budget because you feel uncomfortable about bringing your checking account down to zero, start that cushion. Now that's just my situation because I don't have debt. But you might, after your envelopes are taken care of and you have leftover money, you might choose to throw it at an extra debt payment. Or possibly even extra savings that are outside of your sinking funds. You can really customize. Now what you're looking at is my 2019 Budget by Paycheck workbook. This new bill tracker I have not released yet. It will be released, we're releasing a brand new physical edition of this workbook, a workbook that can be mailed to you rather than you printing at home. It will be released in that workbook and as a separate PDF in my shop once that physical edition is released. But I'm using this new bill tracker for these paychecks. So you can really customize this budget to any of your financial goals or your budget for your real life. This is just how I set up mine. So let's work on my cash envelopes. Now, here are my old cash envelopes that I used for my last paycheck. I like to create and use new envelopes every single paycheck. It's an element of fun that I've brought on my budgeting journey. It makes me excited to work on my finances. I like creating things. So I choose to use different envelopes every paycheck because I designed them myself. These ones are available in the shop, and I'll be adding these ones to the shop here in a couple of weeks. But if you take my food envelope, for instance, here's my new envelope for this paycheck. Here's my old one. And as you can see on my old one, I had $42 left inside my cash envelope on the 20th. So here's what I did. I rolled over $2 and I saved the rest. So I rolled over the small bills and I saved the rest. Now, how much you decide to roll over when you're switching out envelopes or every paycheck is up to you. Whether you want to save that money, whether you want to roll it over into your new envelopes, that decision is up to you. But for me, I roll over my smaller bills and I save the big bills. So for food, I budgeted $200 for my food category, which is right here. So I'm just going to pull out two $100 bills. That gives me a new balance of $202. This envelope has been stuffed. For my fun envelope, here's my old one. I had $70 left over. I decided to roll over 20, which you'll see here, and I saved the 50. So I saved rolled over the small bill, saved the big bill. So here's that $20 in there. So I budgeted $50, which is right here. So I have a 50. that I'm going to put inside this envelope. New balance of spending money is $70 in this envelope because of my rollover amount. For my house envelope, my household envelope, I had $11. I decided to roll over $1 and save the 10. So I have budgeted an amount of $40 for my household envelope. So that's where I come over and I grab 2 20s. Now I have $41 in this envelope to spend to my next paycheck on the 28th for my household spending. Beauty, I did not have anything left over in my beauty envelope. You can see I brought it down to 0, but I budgeted $90, so I'm going to pull out 90. So now I have $90 for my beauty envelope. Miscellaneous, I had $59 left over in my miscellaneous. I decided to roll over 4 and I saved the 55. So here's the 4 that I rolled over from last time. So I budgeted $50 for this envelope. So I'm just going to pull out my 50. That takes care of that one. Gas. For my gas envelope, I had $54 left over. I decided to roll over 9 because I had a ton of $1 bills. So I'm just going to leave that in my envelope. And so with this one, I budgeted 75. So I'm going to pull out a 50, a 20, and a 5. Now I have a total of $84 to spend in my gas envelope. If you have problem with spending money and you're failing with your budget because you're overspending, try the cash envelopes. It's a great visual system. It makes your budget tangible. It becomes real. You get to see right away how much cash you have to spend, and once it's gone, it's gone. So I found great success using the cash envelope method. Now, I have all this extra money. It's because I still have to stuff my sinking funds. Now, my holidays and events I save in envelopes, and my envelopes look like this. This is what my holidays and events sinking funds envelopes look like. These are available in my free resource library if you want access to these envelopes. So for 4th of July, I'm putting away $9. And this is why the bill denominations is so important. So I just stuffed that in my 4th of July envelope. And as you can see, I have money already saved. The next one I have is my boyfriend and my son's birthday. Now I'm doing 17 for my boyfriend. And I'm doing 15 for my son. I use one envelope for all of my birthday spending. So both of them get stuck in this birthday envelope. For Christmas, Christmas looks like this, and I'm doing $37. Stuff this. And my son's back to school supplies, I'm doing $16. Now, if you did everything right, your last envelope should match exactly what you have left to stuff, which mine does. So all of my envelopes have been stuffed, and same with all of my sinking funds. Now, this is the part where I would go to my sinking funds trackers and I would write down these deposits today into these envelopes. And I would have an ending balance for February. So that's essentially how I tackle my budget. Now, if you use my Paycheck bill tracker, either this new one, and here is a picture or what the old one looks like. Every single one of my bill trackers has letters and numbers on there to guide you on how to work out the flow of your budget. Now, if you're using the cash envelope method, it does not mean that you pull cash out for everything. Only you pay your bills online. Everything else is paid in cash. So then what I would do, I would put, this is my wallet or my organizer. All of my cash envelopes fit inside my Filofax. I don't carry all of my envelopes with me all of the time. I only carry the ones that I know I'm going to need, but they do all fit in here. I'm gearing up for March's savings challenge, which is $20 Fridays, where you save $20 from your cash envelopes every Friday. It doesn't matter what envelope you choose to take the money from, it's $20 every Friday. And I'll be talking more about the March Savings Challenge coming soon. But this is my full budget overview and what my budget looked like for my paycheck on February 20th.
If you found this video helpful, please share it and don't forget to subscribe.